crypto warriors, changing our world day by day. The way of the crypto warriors, can't rely on the bankers, no way.
Good morning, Bix Weir, roadrunner.com with your morning horn disease, your sip of chaga coffee. All right, I posted my discussion with Dick Allgaier on the private road Friday night, I think, or Saturday. Remote viewing the future and the chaos that lies ahead. We had a good discussion. Yeah, everything's happening. Big week, huge week, monster week this week. Go check that out on the private road. Silver is being held in check, held flatline. Probably the most important thing, the dollar doesn't matter, bonds don't matter, the deficit doesn't matter. These negotiations about Biden, the Biden family crimes, they don't matter. Nothing matters. What does matter is the price of silver. The price of silver. Silver is the bank killer, the bank destroyer. I was reading Ted Butler this weekend. He says the top four banks who have been literally the short controllers for the past 50 years are getting out of the silver short position, are getting out of the silver controlling positions. They aren't shorting into the rise, which means, what does that mean? You got me. Ted Butler was head over heels saying, oh my God, I never thought I'd see them go away, but they are going away. So I think everybody is bracing for something big, massive in silver. The loss of control of silver would mean silver would be traded freely and the price would be unknown. And the reason I say unknown is that the COMEX would shut down at anything over $50 silver. The entities that are short silver could not pay. So they just shut down the COMEX. They would say, oh, we have a trading halt, trading blah, probably something bigger going on. There's two massive things going on today, and I'll get to that in a second. But keep an eye on silver. If you want to know when's it going to happen, Bix, when the good guys going to take over the bad guys, keep an eye on silver. That's all I got to say on that. Keep an eye on silver. We're running out of physical silver. Yes, SLV still has 500 million ounces supposedly in inventory, but there's two people who are in charge of that inventory. One is JP Morgan, known as the biggest silver rigger in history, paid a $920 billion fine for rigging the silver, gold, and the Treasury market. We all know JB Diamond and Blythe Masters shorted silver from 2008 until 2014, all the while loading up on physical, amassed over 1 billion ounces of physical silver during that time. And then then they got busted. They had to stop. From there, they did in order to stop the rise in silver after they stopped, and to settle with the U.S. government, they leased all that 1 billion ounces of silver to Bank of America in a structured deal. I think at the other end of that deal was Warren Buffett and the U.S. Mint and Elon Musk. From my knowledge of what goes on behind the scenes, that is how the smartest way to get physical silver. Remember why Warren Buffett bought silver originally in the 1990s. I mean, he said it flat out. There was a supply-demand deficit, and I thought it was a good buy. I bought too early and sold too late is what he said. What he did is he got himself in trouble with the regulators because the COMEX went after him. And, he did a lot of this on the COMEX, which is pretty dumb for Warren Buffett. He should have taken the advice of the Hunt brothers and done everything in physical only, which he did now. So what's going on is this transfer of deliverability from the COMEX to the London Bullion Market Association, which is the LBMA, a completely fraudulent, fictional entity. But that's what where the bankers and the regulators say that most of the deliveries are going. You can see this in the data from the CME. It's called EFP, Exchange for Physical. And there's massive amounts of physical being transferred from the COMEX, which pretty much does not deliver anymore. We look at today, it should be one of the biggest delivery months of the year in silver. May, but it's going to be the smallest in history. Right now, we're looking at they've delivered almost 10 million ounces, with left in the books another 13.5 million ounces left to deliver. So no, another 3.5 million ounces left to deliver. So that gives the total delivery will be somewhere around, I would say, let's just say 13 million ounces. Smallest delivery month ever. Why? When silver is so short everywhere, their premiums have gone through the roof. If you're looking to buy silver, you're going to have to pay up. You're late. You're late to the game. You're going to have to pay up. Silver Eagles, so hard to get because the U.S. Mint has stopped making them. Well, has stopped selling them to the public. They sell 900,000 coins per month. They have not explained why this is happening. Every other mint is just going gangbusters, except the U.S. Mint. And why is that? Why did Ventures Gibson, the head of the U.S. Mint, expand Silver Eagle production, announcing it 3 times? And yet, they're only producing less than a third of their capacity. She's lying. Well, no, she's not lying. She's telling the truth. You just gotta take her for her word. They are making probably 100 million Silver Eagles a year. They just aren't selling them to the public. They're holding them. They are adding to the nest, as the head of the U.S. Mint said. When they redesigned the eagle, the back of the eagle is about an eagle adding branches to the nest. The United States is adding silver and gold eagles to the nest, to the stockpile we're going to need when the old system fails. Because we're not going to a CBDC. We're not going to XRP. We're not doing any of that stuff. The United States of America already has on their books a cure for this problem. Problem being the collapse of the fiat unbacked banking system. And that is gold and silver as money. And that's what the U.S. Mint is preparing for. The good guys are preparing for. And it doesn't take any deciders. It's already in our Constitution. So that's where we're headed. What isn't in our Constitution is the ability to have unbacked fiat money run by a bunch of bankers. So we will be returning to our Constitution. You know, you can say what you want about the IMF, the World Bank, all their plans, the BIS. They'll be gone. They'll be long gone, and they'll be hunted down, the people who were in charge of this scam. So just keep your boots on. Lots happening this week. Again, Tuesday. Oh, wait. First, here is the EFP. Harvey Organ does a great job keeping track of the exchange for physicals that go to the London delivery points. Last month, over 118 million ounces was sent from the COMEX, contracts sent from the COMEX to London for delivery. Just think about that. In the month before, 112 million. Where's all this silver coming from? It's coming right out of JP Morgan's coffers. That silver you see in the SLV inventory is not, it's spoken for. That is not JP Morgan's silver. That's not the shareholders of SLV's silver. It's not BlackRock silver. That silver has been delivered. It's just showing up on JP Morgan's data because the cheapest way to hold physical silver is in the COMEX warehouses. It can have, I don't know what the total is they have right now, but they can have hundreds of millions of ounces there, but that doesn't mean they're for sale. So keep an eye on all this stuff. It is happening. I think we're going to see a lot more. May's going to be a big month again. Say another 100 million ounces of silver. At some point you run out because they've been doing this for years. Well, since the JP Morgan, at least since JP Morgan got busted. And that's when JP Morgan was required, I believe, to shed the silver that they stole. And RICO charges are interesting because the U.S. government had JP Morgan on RICO charges. That means a conspiracy to commit a crime. Because the penalty is 3 times what you stole. That's why RICO was such a big deal for JP Morgan. 3 times what they stole. If they stole 1 billion ounces of silver over that time period from 2008, 2014, 15, then they're going to have to pay back 3 billion ounces of silver. And you can see that they are, or they did. It might not have been their silver, but every month, look at the clearinghouse Now, if we take the LBMA on their word that they're actually dealing in physical silver and these numbers are correct, look at the silver transfers per day. Per day, 300 million ounces of silver are transferred per day. And if you look at the history of the last, since before 2000, remember this right in here. See these spikes? There's a spike here, there's a spike here, there's a spike here, there's a spike here. I can explain each one of this. This spike right here is Warren Buffett finally admitting that he has over 100 million ounces of silver. And all of a sudden, 400 million ounces trade hands in a single day. In a single day. And then right here this is the dot-com bust. Everybody was buying silver. 176 million ounces. I mean, it's not as big as the things that were coming up. And then 2011, the $50 silver spike, the conspiracy that JP Morgan wrote, let the price of silver rise and then slammed it down. That's 300 million ounces. That was another peak. This is supposedly physical silver transfers on the LBMA. In 2018, we had a little crisis, and then the silver squeeze of 2021, and the Wall Street bets, all that stuff was going on, and then it died off. How did it die off? This was JP Morgan selling in a structured deal the silver to Bank of America on a fixed end lease of silver. That's why JP Morgan booked a $1 billion gain in their precious metals portfolio the very year that they admitted to rigging the market. They had to get rid of the underlying silver. It's obvious if you just dig into the depths of it. And here we see from the beginning of the Wall Street bets silver squeeze, supposedly. So they slammed it down with the physical silver coming out of JP Morgan coffers, paying off they had 3 years to pay it off, and that's coming down to the end. I think the end is in September of this year. And then we have this huge spike right here, all the way back up to 300. You're going to see this go 500, go probably higher than this one, which was 396 million ounces. These are daily transfers. I know it doesn't make sense. The people, that's not a real exchange. So they can do whatever they want. It's an association. And it's in England, so all the rules in England are different. And they allow bankers to get away with whatever the fuck they want. But right now, you can see spiking up right here to 300 million. I wouldn't be, I could see this going to 1 billion shares or transfers in a day. These are supposed to be physical, but they're lying. And these are supposed to be net. So who knows what goes on during the day. They're supposed to be net daily averages of millions of ounces of physical silver traded. It's insane. It's insane. But there is definitely trends going on. Central banks around the world are buying gold. Massive amounts of gold. And it hasn't stopped. It started 10 years ago, 12 years ago. This is just what they report, by the way. China's been buying massive amounts of gold. There's so much more gold than what they're saying. But the official numbers are right here. First quarter is usually the weakest, or one of the weakest quarters. As you can tell, this is what they did in the first quarter of 2023. 228 tons of silver, 34% higher than previous record. So we're in record territory of central banks buying gold, and so actually central banks reporting gold. But central banks do own gold. Regular banks do own gold, but I see regular banks owning gold as something that is bad for gold, because when central banks never have to default, they can just print more money, so they can hold all the gold. When a bank gets in trouble, let's just say Silicon Valley Bank or First Republic, if they own gold, that's one of the first assets that they will be selling, because they have to literally find money where they can, and gold is very, very, very easy to sell. So with JP Morgan, I think they have $30 billion or something like that worth of gold in their tier one asset, or at least that's what they reported, probably more. they will have to sell that if they run into trouble, because you can't keep it if you need to raise money. And that's what would need to be done if the derivative bubble bursts. Because there's a lot, there was some article saying JP Morgan is going to get screwed on their gold holdings because they are so short on the COMEX. No, those are hedges for what they have in their inventory. Unless they were required to sell that off as well. I don't know. But yeah, JP Morgan had $30 billion worth of gold in their, like physical gold, in their own possession that Ted Butler tracked. I don't know if they had to do the same thing. Probably not, because bankers don't really care that much about gold. They know there's so much more out there than what is said in the media. But yeah, really interesting. Just so much going on. By the way, Warren Buffett, who's always Mr. Rah-Rah about the economy, did a flip. Very rare. Very rare. And if there's anybody who knows what's going on behind the scenes with the fight between the good guys and bad guys and gold and silver, it's Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett says it's been an incredible period for the economy, but that's coming to an end. Ooh, dun-da-da. He's been playing this game. He's the one who's taken the secret silver leased through Bank of America. That's why he's such a big believer in Bank of America. He sold all his other banks and just Bank of America. Why? Because they were doing structured deals to get silver in his possession that the bad guys couldn't stop, which is really interesting. And yeah, Buffett's predicting earnings declines and all kinds of stuff going on. This is probably the most important thing you have to think about. The regional banks. When's the next one going to go, Bix? Right now we have a short squeeze. So every shorter out there went after the regional banks because it's so obvious that they're failing. This is from the FDIC, and this is last year, fourth quarter of last year. These are unrealized losses on investment securities. So they take your money and they put them into investments so they can make money off your money, and they leverage them up, and they are just bleeding money right now. This is up to the fourth quarter. I expect the first quarter to be way over $1 trillion in unrealized losses, maybe even more. They are all insolvent. And as soon as there's a hiccup, for example, tomorrow's debt ceiling meeting, let's talk about that briefly. Where is it? Right here. Yellen warns on debt ceiling ahead of Tuesday meeting. So Joe Biden is meeting with McCarthy and maybe even some more of the head Republicans to try to get a debt ceiling deal. Well, here's the big deal. So Joe is doing this on Tuesday. What's happening on Wednesday? Grassley and Comer alleged bribery scheme involving Biden and demand documents from the FBI. They are going to show whistleblower documents on Wednesday of the Biden family. This isn't a $500,000 scheme. This is a billions and billions and billions of dollar, what would you call it? Crime family. All over the place, not just China and Ukraine, all over the place. But this is so many of the senators out there. And it's covering up kind of what's really going on with the children issue, which is even bigger. So this is all happening right now. So I think Biden's going to give away the ship, because if he doesn't, I think they're going to do this anyway on Wednesday. I don't think there's anything Biden can do, truthfully. So I don't know what he's going to say. If he can't even say anything, he doesn't understand what's going on. He has no clue. But so you got the double whammy. Tuesday, they're in negotiations for the debt ceiling. They got a lot of leverage. Republicans have a lot of leverage. But I think the Democrats want to get rid of Biden anyway, so they don't really care. But it all adds up to chaos, market chaos. So that's why right now all the regional banks are getting squeezed. The shorts are getting squeezed higher so that they can really run to the downside. And I think we'll see that. So they might go up this week, in the beginning of the week, and then the implosion of everything flowing into June. I think, they've been able to scotch tape this thing, duct tape this thing for 100 years. They can do it if they want. If the good guys want this system or the bad guys want this system to go on a little longer, like to September 11th, for example, they can scotch tape stuff. But the end game is the end game. If you have done what I have recommended, you have physical silver in your own possession. You have cryptos, good cryptos in your own possession. You have food, water, gun. Practice over the weekends. Say, okay, I'm going to practice that the world has shut down. I'm going to turn off all media. The revolution won't be televised, shall we say. A lot of the comms will just go down. You won't be able to read about it in the internet when the banks fail, because all the businesses that run the internet will fail as well. So, yeah, it's going to get a little squirrely. There'll be a lot of emergency announcements from the U.S. government. There'll be end of trading with other countries. So keep that in mind. That was in the Road to Ruta documents. So, yep, lots going on. The Trump or the Biden administration said, "Oh, we can do it without the approval of Congress. We can raise the debt ceiling up without the approval of Congress." This is just crazy talk. That means you can do anything without the approval of Congress. And yeah, does this sound like things are going fine for banks that are already wobbling? No. And then probably next weekend we're going to see a few more banks, and then the end. When is that end day? Is it the end of May? Is it the June 1st date? Is it September 11th? I don't know. But clearly nothing is going well. If people are trying to prolong this thing, it's not going well for them. But there's not many people who want it to go on. Other than the normies, the people brain dead who don't know that the system's in trouble and have all their money in their 401k and their retirement account and stocks and bonds and in their CDs. I mean, U.S. Treasuries, the safest investment in the world, trillions of dollars in U.S. Treasuries. The Treasury Secretary says they're going to stop paying on the first. They're going to stop paying interest on the first. And then everything falls into chaos. Are you ready for chaos? Are you on your lawn chair, sitting on the sidelines, watching it? I hope you are. By the way, chaos is going to hit the cryptos too. Absolutely 100%. And gold and silver. You're not going to know the price of silver. You won't be able to do money transfers to buy any more silver. And Binance closes withdrawals amid congestion on Bitcoin network. Binance is the largest, by far, the largest exchange on the planet for cryptos. And it's practicing, I think. It's practicing shutting down. Don't hold your cryptos anywhere other than your own possession. The DeFi stuff will be destroyed. Like it already is, but even more. If you don't have your coins in your own possession, you can kiss them goodbye. If you don't have your gold and silver in your own possession, you can kiss it goodbye. If you don't have cash in your own possession, you can kiss it goodbye. This has been long in the making. Can they scotch tape it till September? I know they can. My God, they've scotch taped it for 110 years since the invention of the Fed. But do they want to? Do they want chaos when winter hits? Probably not. Do they want chaos and a road to recovery over the summer? Probably. But who's they? Is it the good guys or the bad guys who are going to actually press that final button? Or both? Clearly, if you're watching the Biden administration and Congress, this is all a play. This is all fake. They know that all they have to do is press that red button, destroy the derivative market, and poof, all the debt goes away. The largest problem in the world is debt. All right. Yellen warns ahead of Tuesday meeting. We're going to hit the debt ceiling. We're going to hit the debt ceiling. Is it legal for the Treasury or for the Fed to create money to give to the U.S. government? Nope. Not just a blank check. They got to go through Congress. And Congress, I don't think, like I said, they can't agree on toilet paper. How are they going to agree on how to spend quadrillions of dollars that they're printing? They're making out of thin air. And speaking of, I live in California. And I told everybody, I'm going to fight for my country. I'm behind enemy lines, and I'm going to fight for my state, even though we don't deserve it. This psychotic lunatic, Gavin Newsom, California defaults on $18.6 billion in debt, saddling employers with the expense. So California got all this like $20 billion from the government that they were supposed to pay back to cover unemployment benefits. Gavin Newsom says, no, we're not going to pay it back. Why did he say that? Because he knows the whole thing's falling apart. Why start there? California's a fraud. Unbacked fiat money's a fraud. It doesn't really matter that California defaults on $18.6 billion in debt. And what also passed just the same day, California approves reparation recommendation proposing $1.2 million checks for black residents. So they default on a $20 million loan from the government, but they give black residents Is anybody raising their hand saying, hey, I'm going to identify as a black resident? You could do that in California social laws. This is so insane. California has no money, and then where they going to tax people to pay reparations? The biggest thing I think that everybody's going to be really happy about, they're never going to have to pay taxes to our government. We're done. The tax situation, we are going to be so disillusioned and sick of our government after they destroy everything that we're not going to pay taxes. I don't know anybody. A lot of people stopped paying taxes last month. As a matter of fact, California did not require tax payment on April 15th because of emergency relief stuff. Most people didn't know that. You don't have to pay until October 15th. So you just carry it over. And what's going to happen between then? Everything's going to go to shit. Don't worry about taxes. Worry about buying lead for your gun, buying bullets. Anyway, that's where we are. Lots going on the road to Ruta. Yes, as of today, we're still giving away the Ruta coin. Coolest coin ever made. Go to roadtoruta.com. Click on subscribe today, and you get all the exciting discussions in the background. Everything on the road to Ruta. So much to look at and talk about, and the archives there are massive. Half are written, half are video. Massive archives. So if you want to go figure out how did we get here, it's all there. It's 20 years of analyzing this stuff and talking about it and writing about it and singing about it. So go check that out, roadtoruta.com. We give out one silver Ruta coin, a collector's coin, hand-painted, individually numbered. We don't sell them to the public. And for right now, when silver blows by $30, it'll be instant that we stop. We stop giving these things out. So go check it out. This is Bix Weir. I'll talk to you later.